Okay, we are going live right now. I will share the live stream in our group, and then I think we're good to go.
And are we on speaker view, Jackie?
I will go ahead and set us to speaker view. There we go.
Let's see. So I'm not seeing it. Are we? It says we're live on Facebook. Are we?
I am 99% sure that we're live on Facebook. I'm going to the post right now and then going to go ahead and share it to our group.
We're definitely live because I can see myself.
There we go.
You can see yourself? Oh, I thought we were. Is that okay? If anybody doesn't want to be seen, feel free to turn your video off. You can keep your video off. Or you can just watch on Facebook if you don't want to be in the Zoom, but we love to have you in the Zoom if you're okay with everybody seeing us.
Okay, so if it's 99%, what's the other 1%?
I try not to be 100% sure about much of anything.
That's always what I struggle with. I always struggle with it.
So I'm not seeing the live stream to share from Facebook, Jackie, is there?
It's on the Transgender School Facebook page. It's there.
Okay, let me check. It's not showing. I'm on the Transgender School Facebook page.
Are you sure you're on the page and not in the group?
Oh, on the.
Well, it's there.
Wait a minute, not in the group.
It's live on our Facebook page, and I just shared it to the group right now.
And I can share it from the group, right?
You can share it from the page or the group. Either way works.
Okay, hi everybody. We're just getting set up. Let's see, share to my timeline. Just trying to make sure we're sharing everywhere. I don't know, Jackie, if it's sharing on my timeline.
That's up to you. Once you share it on your timeline, we can go ahead and get started.
Okay, one sec. When I go to share it, I see that I'm posting as Transgender School, not me.
Oh, you're going to have to select your own profile there.
Yeah, it's live.
It looks like you shared it, Bridget.
Oh, so it's on my page too?
Yeah, you personally shared it, yeah.
Okay. Oh, everybody's on there. So is everybody who's in the Zoom with us okay with being on camera? Yes? And your name and everything being on camera? If not, feel free to hop off and just watch on Facebook Live. Just want to make sure everybody's, privacy is respected. Well, hello, everybody. Let's see who's with us. Let me get into the. Okay, so should we go ahead and get started?
Might as well get started.
Okay. All right. So welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us here for our first Facebook live stream. Jackie and I just wanted to get on here and say hello and connect with whoever was able to show up at 4 o'clock our time. I know we're on different coasts. My cousin Gabby is here, yay, and Avalon. So good to see you. Our cousin Gabby and Avalon. And Lindsay, thank you so much, and Nicole for being here with us on the Zoom. We wanted to just take a little bit of time to introduce ourselves and talk a little bit about what Transgender School is, and then see what questions people have. So please be ready to ask questions either in the Zoom chat or in the Facebook Live chat. I'm not seeing a lot happening. If you're in the Facebook Live watching there, feel free to say hello in the comments. Has anybody commented yet, Jackie?
Oh yeah, I see a bunch of comments. I see a bunch of comments on the Facebook Live. Hi Liz, hi Nicole, hi Mary. Thanks for joining, everyone. Really appreciate it. So I think we can go ahead and do a brief introduction. For those of you who don't know my mom and I, we have started this Transgender School, which we're going to do digital courses, live streams, trying to put out as much educational, informational material as possible to help educate people about transgender people's experiences, how they can be better allies, how they can support the trans people in their lives. I am 23 years old. I live in San Francisco. I work for the city here, and I'm really excited to be doing this in my free time.
Thanks, Jackie. Okay, I finally found where I think I'm supposed to be so I can see everybody's comments. So thank you so much for commenting. Those of you who are commenting, I can see it now. I'm Bridget. I'm Jackie's very proud mom, and I am a retired professor of communication studies, emeritus professor. I taught for 28 years, often dragged Jackie with me to class, right? While I was teaching communication studies. And are we on speaker view? I think, is it working now? Okay, it looked like.
Yep, you're highlighted.
Okay,
You're good.
cool. Okay. And I have a consulting business where I do training and coaching, and we design courses for companies. And I'm so excited that Jackie and I decided to start Transgender School together as a business, but also as a community service to offer lots of education and information for people who want to learn and understand what it means to be transgender and how to be allies and how to be advocates. And we're really hoping to build a curriculum that we can share in schools and in workplaces, in any arena or context that people want to learn and be more inclusive in. So that's why we're doing this. We're excited to share that our website is live. So we wanted to screen share that with you really quickly. Is it okay if I go ahead and do that now? Oh, Jackie's doing it. Okay, great. So Jackie is on our website. Please go there and check it out. I think it's just taking a second to load. Some of the parts aren't loading yet. There we go. So a little bit about us and who we are. You'll see all over the page that you have the option to click to get our top 10 tips for communication with and about transgender people. There is so much information packed in those 10 tips. It's 10 pages, so it's a whole page for each tip. And we really researched and we spent weeks compiling this information and digging into the experiences that we've had, especially Jackie and I having conversation around what it was like for her when she came out, and things that people said that were helpful and things that people said that were not helpful, including things that I said. And so we compiled that list of communication tips, and we hope that you'll go to the website to get that, and that you will share your email address with us so that we can keep you on our list when we start. We're going to start a newsletter, and we're going to be informing people about our courses. And there's lots of information on the website, lots of pictures of us at Pride events and just dinners and Jackie's college graduation, lots of fun events. So you can see little bio, my bio, Jackie's bio, lots of pictures. We'll see pictures of Jackie's dad, my husband, Neil, and my parents, Bill and Kath, who are all super supportive and now very well educated as well about what it is to be transgender. And we are going to have them all as guests on our Facebook Lives in the upcoming weeks. So we really hope that you'll join us every week if you can. We're going to have Jackie's grandparents on. We're going to have Jackie's dad on, and just fire away questions, whatever questions that you have for all of them. So please keep going to our website. Jackie, if you can scroll down a little more, we can show people how many resources are here. We have our testimonials from our students who have taken courses with us. We have articles that both Jackie and I have written. My articles are on Medium. We also have articles on our blog, on my company blog, and we're going to have our own blog pretty soon. So you can scroll through and see all of our articles that are all about transgender related topics. And at the bottom, you have all our social media pages that you can follow, and a constant stream of what we're posting on Instagram. So if you're not following us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere, please do so, and we'll follow you back. And we're super excited about the website. So thank you for giving us a second to share that with you. Please go there and please sign up to give us your email list there. So Jackie, what else did we want to share before we do Q&A? Oh, we wanted, well,
I think before we go into, do you want to go into current events, or was there anything else?
Yes,
okay, so
we want to every week. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so we were talking about kind of centering these live streams around either a current event, if there's something in the news relating to transgender people, or a different piece of content from our courses that we're working on. Obviously, this week, Elliott Page came out as transgender, Oscar-nominated actor. He is amazing. We all love him from a variety of movies. And so that was really great. I think we're getting to, my reaction to it was that I feel like we are getting to a point as a society where we're starting to have more positive, more affirming reactions when transgender people do come out, especially famous transgender people. I think it's very interesting to see the kind of dichotomy between the US and the UK, where we're kind of moving forward, at least culturally, maybe not policy-wise, in terms of accepting trans people, and then very much the opposite happening in the UK. So that's a real shame, and I would really love to have someone from the UK on to kind of talk about why that is, and how we can help support our trans siblings over there. One point that we did want to address that would be an area of improvement when future famous people might come out as trans is that there is still this temptation, this kind of need for a lot of press outlets, a lot of newspapers to dead name the trans person, to be like, oh, well, obviously you know them because this was their name before. When in reality, especially with a famous person, it would be very easy to identify someone by their movie credits or something other than their dead name. So in my opinion, there wasn't really any need to dead name Elliott Page. There wasn't really any need to mention his dead name at all in any of those articles. Unfortunately, not a lot of news outlets did. I think there was a lot of criticism of that. Hopefully editorial staffs across the country heard that, and hopefully they'll do better next time. So that was a good lesson, I think. Anything else you want to share on that, Mom?
Yeah, I just want to share that I made a mistake as well. And this is an example of why we're having these conversations, is because we're all still learning. And Jackie came out, it's almost 4 years ago now, and I've worked really hard to educate myself and learn as much as I can and learn about how to, what are the choices that are going to be the most respectful and affirming and loving and compassionate. And yet still, on the day that Elliott came out, I posted an article in our Transgender School Facebook group that in the article had his dead name. And Jackie pointed out to me that we don't want to be doing that in our group. We want to be kind of being the role models for setting the tone for how we handle these situations. So I deleted the post, and then of course saw all that was happening in the news with others doing that as well. So I just want to say that we're all learning as we go. And Jackie is always very kind to still point things out to me that where I can do better. And I hope we're all open to that. And I love when she teaches me these things. And that's why we're doing what we're doing, because I think we all need to keep learning. So that's our current event. We are pretty sure there's going to be a current event every week with everything that's going on. I just wanted to share, I was looking up some statistics, and statistics can always be questioned, but what I was finding from looking up the numbers just before this is that in the last 10 years, the number of adults who identify as transgender publicly, like in surveys, has doubled. Right now, that doesn't mean that we have doubled the number of transgender people. It just means that people are feeling safer to come out. There's more education, there's more information. So we can only expect this to keep multiplying, where there have always been transgender people, but it was so unsafe to come out that people lived secret lives in hiding, kept it to themselves, weren't even aware of what was really happening. And that's all changing. And so that's why I think what we're doing here in this conversation that we're starting with all of you is so, so important. And it's going to keep growing and growing. So we want to know what questions you have for us, and any question is open for us to discuss. And if it's a question that we're not comfortable answering, or there's something to teach about that, we will do it kindly. And we're going to be, very, just very open to whatever you would like to know. So do we have any questions yet?
You're welcome to submit questions. Those of you who are in the Zoom with us, you can submit questions in the chat here. Those of you who are watching on Facebook Live, you're welcome to comment with your questions. I'm looking through now for some questions.
We have a question.
Yes.
Oh yeah, we have a question on the Zoom.
Can you explain a dead name? Avalon doesn't know what that is, and so.
Oh yeah, that's a great question.
Sounds like dead a name just made up. It doesn't make sense to me. It's like a name that's probably.
Yeah, it can be a little confusing. Like I didn't die and come back to life, so why is it a dead name? But I think the reason that we use the term, I don't know who came up with the term dead name. I don't know how long it's been around. But I do know that it basically means a trans person's name before they transition, before they started using a different name. So I go by the name Jackie, but that's not the name that my mom gave me when I was born. That's a name that I chose, that I identify with, that fits my identified gender. So my dead name is the name that my mom did give me when I was born. And I don't like to use that name because I don't really identify with it. It doesn't really feel like it fits me. So I guess the way you could explain it as the reason you call it a dead name is because it's dead, it's done. You don't ever want to use it anymore. That's one way to look at it.
So it's like your old name and you just don't use it anymore, like something old
Exactly.
and you don't use anymore, but you get something new and you start using it until you wear it out.
Exactly. And maybe in 20 years I'll wear out Jackie and I'll be like, all right, I need a new name. I'm tired of Jackie. The only thing is it's a lot of paperwork to change your name. So it takes a while. You have to fill out a lot of forms.
And I want to say something about that too, Avalon. It's such a great question. Thank you, Gabby and Avalon, for coming on and asking that question, because I'm in a support group and I talk to a lot of parents of transgender kids, and it can be really difficult for parents of transgender kids to, you know, kind of let go of that name that they chose for their child. And a lot of parents of transgender kids also don't like the word dead name. They don't like the term dead name because to them it's like a beautiful name that they gave their child. And we understand their feelings too, right? Jackie, you know, Jackie and I have talked about this, and we totally empathize and want to have compassion for all involved. All that we're saying is we always try to prioritize, we do advocate always without exception for prioritizing the needs of the transgender person, because it's their life and their name and their, you know, reality, and the rest of us, if we love that person and respect them and care for them and want them to live the life that they know that they're meant to live and be the person they're meant to be, we want to honor that. So we understand all sides of that, but we are really very clear in that we always recommend, please honor the transgender person's needs, whatever it is that they need. And Jackie also taught me recently on that same topic that it's important, and I've been seeing this in articles and things that people have been posting as well, that we're moving away from saying chosen name. It's just the person's name. It's not, Jackie is Jackie's name, right? It's not her chosen name, it's just her name. So little differences like that, while some people may think they're not important, they really, really are, because there's a lot of meaning behind that. And so we're constantly learning about these new ways to be even more affirming.
Yeah, thank you. That was a great question. I see a couple other questions coming. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, we just said thank you and cool. She said cool.
Oh, great.
Thank you, Avalon.
Yeah, thank you. So I see a couple other questions coming in through the chat on Zoom. First one is, do you have a response to Mike Huckabee? Oh God, there's someone I haven't thought about in a minute. Mike Huckabee's response to Elliott pages coming out. I see I have pulled it up on Twitter. Without reading it, my take is going to be that this is Mike Huckabee wanting some attention because he's no longer relevant. But
Well,
yeah,
Lindsay,
looking.
Lindsay
So he dead
question.
names. Oh.
Should we ask Lindsay maybe to share with us what she was referring to specifically?
Oh, I found the tweet.
Oh,
I'm not gonna broadcast it because he does dead name Elliott Page. But the tweet, if I had to summarize the tweet, it's basically yeah, so he kind of makes a joke. He says, what's shocking is that anyone would actually want to be identified as a white male these days. We're blamed for everything. So yeah, I mean, that's classic Fox News talking points. I don't really I don't really know how to respond to that other than just that he sucks and I wish he would go away. That's kind of my take on Mike Huckabee and his response.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on that, Mom?
Well, yeah, as you can imagine, lots, and I'm sure you have lots more, Jackie. And thank you for asking the question, Lindsay, because it raises a very significant issue, which is that a lot of people in the world simply are very uneducated and very ignorant about what it means to be transgender. So let me clarify, maybe we should do this every week. Being transgender is simply a form of human diversity. You were born with a certain color hair, with a certain color eyes, that you are going to grow into a certain height, whatever, right-handed, left-handed, being transgender is the same. It is not a choice. It is not an affliction or a mental illness. And these are some of the things that Jackie and I are writing about. It's simply some people are transgender and some people are not. It's that simple. And unfortunately, people like Mike Huckabee, people like J.K. Rowling, who that was heartbreaking because we always loved Harry Potter stories. And now to see the kinds of hateful, vicious things that she's saying about transgender people is just so sad to me that someone so brilliant in one realm could be so mistaken and so ill-informed, and to be so harmful to young people who are just being themselves in the world and have to deal with adults so much older than them, who just don't understand the truth and are shaming them and spreading lies and evil, that, you know, knowing that well, I'll just say, I don't want to, you know, get into dark statistics or anything, but the risks of transgender people feeling unsupported in the world and, you know, and having difficulties in their lives are high. And so, but they're much lower with family support and community support, just like Jackie is an example of having an amazing life and doing incredibly well, right? So I just want to respond to what Lindsay brought up by saying, please, please, when you can, speak out and educate people and share that they're mistaken. They're simply mistaken. And just like, I don't know, most people I know, except that some people are gay, lesbian, bisexual, right? Even though it was such a big deal a decade or two ago, right? And people were in the same place, that I think they're in a similar place with understanding transgender people. People are going to come around and get it, but it's up to us, those of us who get it now, to try do our best to educate others.
Yeah, thank you for that. I see a couple other questions. One coming in through the chat, one coming in through the live stream. I actually think they're a little bit related, so I'll try to combine them. Lindsay is asking, Nicole is asking, is it okay to ask someone what they identify with? And then I see Sarah is asking in the live stream, I recently came out to my family as non-binary, but I have trouble navigating questions regarding sex and gender expression. How do I set boundaries, but also honor the curiosity of those who want to learn? So I think these questions are similar in that they address, like, where are those boundaries of what is or isn't okay to ask, what is or isn't okay to say. I definitely get that. I've been in a lot of personal and professional settings with people where I was asked questions that I didn't really feel like answering about my sexuality or my gender identity or what it's like to be trans or the mechanics of transitioning in a variety of ways. And it's hard because I understand there's that balance. To Sarah's point, you want to honor people's genuine curiosity. You don't want to turn people off who might be allies. But also, I think it's fair to set those boundaries. I think it's fair to say, hey, I don't want to answer questions about this, or hey, I'm still figuring some of this out for myself. So I don't really, not really able to have that discussion right now. Don't really want to give you a definitive answer. I think it's perfectly okay to set these boundaries. It's not always easy. It's not always comfortable to set those boundaries. I think my mom can attest to the fact that I've had to set some boundaries within our family about, like, what do we want to talk about, like surgery and hormones and that kind of stuff, because a lot of it is personal. And yeah, especially regarding sex and gender expression, like when I was first transitioning, when I was experimenting with my presentation, when all of that was kind of a lot less sure for me, it wasn't stuff that I really wanted to talk about a lot. Now I'm more comfortable sharing. And so I would try to maybe point people in the direction of resources. Like I would say, you know, a lot of this is available online. There's a lot of trans people out there on the internet who are sharing their experiences, who are comfortable doing that. Maybe you could even find someone who has a similar experience that you identify with, and you could share their story if they've shared that online with someone who has a lot of questions for you. But ultimately, I just really want to reinforce that it's never your obligation to answer anyone's question. It's never your obligation to explain your identity. That can be really exhausting, and it's perfectly fine to set those boundaries, as hard and uncomfortable as it might be sometimes. And then also to address the other side of the question, as far as the person asking, like in what context is it okay to ask someone? I would say the best way to frame it is to ask people what pronouns they use. Like that's, as far as I'm concerned, if I'm just meeting someone, if I don't really know someone and I don't know what gender they identify as, I'm not necessarily going to just come up to them and say, what gender do you identify as? But I would ask them, what pronouns do you use, if I'm not sure how they prefer to be addressed. And so once I know how they want to be addressed, once I know what pronouns they use, that helps me. I don't necessarily want to make an assumption about their gender identity based on their pronouns, but I don't really need to know someone's gender identity to interact with them. I just need to make sure we're on the same page about how we prefer to address each other.
Thank you, Jackie. I just wanted to clarify that's exactly what I was referring to.
Yeah, I figured that's what the question was about. But yeah, I think I know there are some people who might be a little bit offended by being asked their pronouns. I understand that it's a sensitive issue for some people who might want to feel like they present a certain way. But I do think, as someone who as a more binary trans person who tries to be an ally to more non-binary trans people, I do think that there's an obligation to not assume people's pronouns and to just ask if you're ever not sure, and to not really see that as the worst thing ever, because I think there's a lot of people who would prefer people ask them their pronouns and not misgender them, and they don't get asked. So I would always say, if you're ever not sure, it's better to ask.
Thank you.
Thank you for the question, Nicole. And I just want to say that it's a really challenging issue, and we went back and forth about this. Is one of the things we wrote about in our top 10 tips for communication. And I actually got feedback from a lot of people, and Jackie and I were going to put into our 10 tips, if you're doing a training or a class, just ask people to share their pronoun out loud. And then we checked with other people, and a couple other people and a couple trans people were like, no, I'm not really comfortable with that. So it was really difficult to figure out. Everybody's different. Every transgender person is different. And so, Nicole, to your question, it unfortunately, there's no one size fits all answer. So that makes it really challenging, and we have to just do the best we can and try, right? So like if I were having a class now, I'm retired from teaching now, but I'm doing training. I think what I would nothing's in person now. So, but I think if I were doing something like that now, what I would do is I would make it optional. I would say like, okay, everybody's going to do a 30-second introduction, share anything you want about who you are, if you want to share your pronouns. And I noticed that on Zoom meetings, a lot of times people do put their pronoun, but then others don't. So I think making it optional is one way to kind of bridge that gap and have people who want to share and people who aren't comfortable sharing all feel comfortable, that it's welcome and it's invited and it's mentioned. And I've heard lots of people say, I've heard transgender people say that it really makes them feel better when they see a cisgender person, for instance, in a Zoom meeting put she, her, hers. It's like, okay, cisgender people, we're identifying this is my pronoun. So it normalizes that we're all sharing our pronouns. And sometimes I still forget to do that, and I'll see other people doing it, and then I'll go into the Zoom and put my pronouns. And so those kinds of things, us doing it so that other people feel comfortable, but also not ever making it mandatory and forcing people, because you could actually unintentionally out someone, which is something we'd never want to do.
Yeah, I know we're almost at time, so I'll try to keep this short, but I really appreciate that question, because I think it highlights the reality that trans experiences are very diverse. And as a trans person who presents in a more binary way, who's fine with she, her pronouns, who like perfectly fine existing in the world in a binary way, it might be comfortable for me to walk into a room and to have people assume my pronouns and address me as she, her. And that might feel really validating for me. But for a non-binary trans person who uses they, them pronouns, and really wants to be referred to by they them pronouns and is uncomfortable with binary pronouns, then that's going to be a difficult experience for them walking into pretty much every room in their life where people assume your pronouns based on your appearance. So personally, I try to be an ally to other trans people who have a less binary experience in that way by trying to share my pronouns, trying to remember to put them on Zoom, and trying to ask people or invite groups of people to share pronouns as part of introductions, because you never know if someone prefers they, them pronouns. You can't know what someone's pronouns are just by looking at them.
Thank you.
Thank you for your questions, everyone. I think we got to all the questions that we had in the group. Did we have any more questions, Jackie? Or was that, I think we got to all the questions we had today. What do you think?
I think that's about it. Thank you, everyone, so much. Really, really appreciate everyone
I think
being here.
we might have one more question from
Yeah,
this.
let's do it. Let's do one more question.
Okay, so if you know that you are
We didn't pre-screen it, so
I have no
No,
idea.
this is totally informal. Go for it.
so even though you know that you're a girl and you understand that you're a girl, or that you're a boy, but you like but you like wearing different outfits that usually the people that are kind of like your gender, what does that count as? Does that also count as transgender?
do you mean like how I'll see if I can clarify. Do you mean like how I like wearing suits and ties and stuff like that, but I still
Yeah.
identify as a girl? Okay.
Yeah.
So
That's
That's a great question.
it's a great question. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a super important question. So gender identity is totally different from how you dress and how you express yourself. My gender identity is that, like you said, I know I'm a girl, I'm a woman, I identify as female, and I generally dress feminine of center. I don't really wear dresses, I wear pants, but like I shop in the women's department. And a lot of people might identify one way, but buy their clothes in the other department. That doesn't mean, like, what department you buy your clothes in does not determine what your gender identity is. I could identify as a woman, and I could buy men's t-shirts and men's jeans because I think they're more comfortable, but
That's what
how I identify is, oh yeah.
Yeah, that's how Avalon feels.
I like it better because instead of dresses, I wear dresses, comfy dresses, not dresses for like stuff.
Yeah.
They gotta see her face when she
I know. I
talks.
wish you could. We put her on took off video because had to eat dinner, but you're missing the facial expressions.
I
but
agree,
yes,
Avalon. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Dresses
I
should
was-
definitely be more comfy.
Yeah,
And
But
they
yeah,
should have pockets.
exactly. It's a good point because gender presentation doesn't necessarily go along with gender identity, and I think that it's an important question to ask. I think although some people would identify those still as on the transgender spectrum. In fact, I guess nobody can see me and not everybody knows me, but
Well, most your
they see my picture. But I'm definitely more masculine of center, but I still strongly identify as a woman. But I've had people tell me that makes me part of the transgender spectrum, and it's my identity. It's not for other people to assume
I mean,
where I am. But some people are gender fluid and identify on the spectrum and like to present their gender in any way that they want. But assuming that just because a woman dresses more masculine or somebody who identifies as a male dresses more feminine or androgynous anywhere, to assume that they're on the transgender spectrum is important to make sure we don't. I think that's really good, that presentation and identity are totally separate.
Exactly. Couldn't have said
Yeah.
it better myself.
And honestly, I wonder, and Avalon, it's such a good question. And Gabby, you make such good points. I wonder, like, if there are people having kids now who are raising their kids like this. There was an article a while back about a woman who had a child and did not assign a gender, did not make the assumption that their gender matched the sex that the doctor assigned them, because they don't, right? So it could be different. So she's raising, and many people are doing this. And I think Jackie knows some people who are doing this. When you ask them, it's one of the biggest questions you get if you tell someone you have a kid, oh, are they a boy or a girl? Which now drives me crazy because, for obvious reasons, but so these parents are choosing to say, we don't know yet. We'll know when they tell us. And I think that's just I think it's amazing, and it gives me so much hope for the future. And what if maybe that's what we're moving toward? And a lot of the kids who are raised in this way, they want to try boy clothes, boy toys, girl toys, non-binary toys and clothes. And what if we just allowed all kids to tell us, to let it be totally their choice? I just hope that I probably won't see it in my lifetime, but maybe that's where we're moving to. And that they never have to define it if they don't want to. They could just be whoever they are and wear whatever they want and do, just it doesn't even have to be like a label. How can we just be people who, are expressing ourselves in our own unique way that doesn't have to be defined as transgender or cisgender or any of this? But I recognize that we need those labels now because we're so far from that.
That's a good note to end on.
Yes. So one of the things
Thank you everyone so much.
Yeah, we did want to try to keep it to a half an hour because we want you to come back. So we're going to do this every Saturday for a while, as long as we have some people. And it looks like we have like 13 on Facebook and, and 4 or 5 on Zoom. So that's great. We thank you so much for coming out our first time. We didn't really promote much. And so we're so excited that you came out today. We'll continue to do these for the time being for a while from 4 to 4:30, and we'll just come on and see what's in the news. We'll share any news that we have about what we're doing in Transgender School, and we will answer any questions that you have. So thank you all so much for being here. It was so great to have this conversation with you. Thank you. And we hope to see you next week, 4 to 4:30. If you're on the West Coast, if you're on the East Coast, 7 to 7:30. Bye, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye. This was great, you guguys.
It was so good to see you,
Thank you.
Avalon. And Gabby, thank you, Nicole.
Bye.
So
You're
good.
welcome. Bye, guys.
Bye. Bye.